G'day, this is Kevin Bloody Wilson. You're listening to me, old mate Steve Bloody Barker on Drive Time.
The 1993 Motorcycle Grand Prix season starts on the last weekend in March, where no longer will we see the Wollongong whiz Wayne Gardner, because much to the chagrin of Donna, he switched to four wheels. However, we still have a couple of excellent Aussie riders competing with the world's best, and I thought, who better to tell us about them than former world champ Barry Sheene. G'day, Barry.
How you doing?
Good. Now, Mick Doohan's chances, how do you rate them this year?
Well, you know, he still knows how to ride a motorbike. I guess it's all down to how good his leg is.
How is his leg? Because that was a shocking crash in, where was it, Assen last year in June?
Yeah, well, the crash itself wasn't so bad. It was a complete muck-up that the people that operated on it did, and the total lack of aftercare, and it was just a disaster. It was a Mickey Mouse little break that should have been all right without any operation. Would have been okay in 5 weeks. With a proper operation and aftercare, he would have been able to race 3 weeks later, but it's now 8 months since then.
And is that a problem when you're in another country and communicating clearly about what the problem is and getting the right medical attention?
Not really, not usually, because you know, this break of Mick's was nothing. I mean, it was just a normal break of the two bones in your lower leg, which is a tibula and fibula. And they weren't misplaced, they weren't compound fractured, they didn't come out the skin or anything.
Mm.
And it was a Mickey Mouse little operation that really any sort of orthopaedic surgeon could do.
So what went wrong?
And what went wrong? Just about everything possible.
Right. And so how are his spirits? How's he feeling?
Oh, spirit-wise, he's really okay, you know, there's no doubt about that. And his leg is getting better by the day, but, you know, it was a substantial muck-up.
Okay, so he's got to ride through that, as he did in the last couple of races of last year, and made a sterling effort. But Wayne Rainey was pretty glad it happened, I guess.
Oh, sure, yeah, without any doubt. You know, but at the end of the day, if Mick hadn't have been out for that amount of races, you know, it was Mick Doohan's year, and there was nobody that could dispute that.
What about Darryl Beattie this year?
Oh, Beattie should go well. He rode in Japan last year and won the Japanese championship, 500cc championship. Darryl Beattie's a very good rider, extremely bright, nice kid, good personality.
Yes, because you're an old hand at this now, being the former world champ in 76 and 77, yet you're still on the television screen where we see you. You look so impish and young. In fact, my wife said you're responsible for many more women watching motorcycling because you're sexy.
Oh, sure, yeah. Can I have that in writing and give it to my wife? You know,
that's what she said.
The point about it is, you know, I enjoyed my racing career. I raced for 17 years, and I'm still really interested in it now. And, you know, the lucky thing for us over here is the fact there's so many good riders. You know, there's another young kid in the 500, chap called Matthew Mladen. He's only 20 years old. He's first year in Grand Prix this year. Another kid in the 125 is called Gary McCoy, who's only 20. You know, the talent over here is undoubted, and Europe's jealous.
And is it fairly important to work your way up through the ranks, like the 125s, then the 250s, then up to the 500s?
It depends. You know, I've raced 50cc right up to 750, but I don't think it's a necessity. You know, it's experience. You know, there's no substitute for experience. You know, there's not really any shortcut. You know, you think someone's going good, and then they fall down and hurt themselves. It takes a little while to become sort of safe and successful, if you like.
How does it feel when you're going into a corner pretty fast and suddenly just the front end goes?
Oh, well, it just feels terrible. It's like riding a push bike in the... Well, I don't suppose any people have ridden push bikes in the ice out here, but, you know, it's just like losing a car or losing a front wheel of a push bike. If somebody rides a push bike along and just grabs the front brake, and that's the kind of feeling, you know, just as you're sort of ploughing towards the ground face first.
And that's happened to you several times. How do you feel? What went through your mind when you could see it all happening before you and then it happened?
Well, the thing that goes through your mind if you hit the ground hard enough is your backside, really. It's you know, you don't get a chance to think about it. You know, it's just before... When it starts to happen, you know, you do everything you can to control it. And by the time...
you don't have a lot of time, though, really, do you?
You know, you just go straight away onto autopilot, And, you know, it's sheer luck, really. At the end of the day, if you get away with, you know, you can get it sideways at 170, 180 mile an hour and get out of it and not know how you've done it, but you've done it. And then alternatively, you can get it sideways at 30 mile an hour and land really heavily.
Do riders wash their own underpants?
Do they? No.
Now, bikes are lighter, power to weight ratio is sort of even better than ever. Do you think they're a bit too fast nowadays?
No, I don't think so. The difference is, say, by comparison to when I was racing, the bikes were only sort of 140 horsepower, but the tyres weren't as wide, weren't as good. The frame, the chassis of the bikes were nowhere near as strong. So relatively, it's the same sort of thing. You know, yes, they go top speed-wise. There's not that much difference. They're probably about 15, 20 k's faster than they were.
Barry, why did you get out of it?
Why? Oh, I raced for 17 years. I won everything there was to win at least twice, and I hated riding for the Japanese. I refused to bend down and kiss their rear ends.
And does that still occur nowadays?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I just really didn't enjoy riding for the Japanese, and therefore they disliked me about as much as I disliked them.
Yes, but nonetheless, that they, you know, sort of contributed to your success, didn't they?
Oh yeah, but that cuts both ways.
Yes, fair enough. And Wayne Gardner had similar comments to make this time last year on Drivetime.
Yeah, you know, the point about it is, I can honestly say that, you know, all this business about Japanese honour and fidelity is complete and utter rubbish. You know, I found the people I dealt with very dishonest. As far as normally if someone works for you for 10 or 15 years, they stack up brownie points.
Sure.
But that doesn't work like that.
Right.
And they'd stab their co-worker in the back as soon as look them in the face.
So it's perhaps less cutthroat on the track, more so behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, exactly. On the circuit, the best thing about motorbike racing is actually going out and doing it. It's all the other bloody aggravation that drives you around the bend.
And do you enjoy now being a TV commentator? Because I'm not peeing in your pocket, to use that well-known expression, but you really make the race. We enjoy watching it, but hearing you say things like, "Oh, savour the flavour," and you get right into it, and you put the viewer on the bike.
Well, it's just so I enjoy racing. I enjoyed racing for all the years that I did it, and to me, you know, I don't consider myself a commentator or anything. When I came out here, Channel 9 asked me to do it, and it's just like Darryl and I sitting down in a pub watching the television. God, look at that! Gordon Bennett. You know, it's just, and say it's like me explaining to Darryl, you know, God, did you see that? Well, the reason that happened was because of this, that, and the other. And it's just like a chat between Darryl and I, really. He's bloody good to work with, really good.
Do you miss the racing yourself now?
No, I don't, not at all. About 5 or 6 years before I gave up racing, I bought a chemical company and later sold it to a big oil company, and I was director of the people that imported McDonnell Douglas in England, so I had lots of different interests. I had investment companies and that. So when I gave up racing, there was no big vacuum. I had plenty to do, just the fact that I had more time to do it because I wasn't racing anymore.
Do you feel that, I mean, racing obviously set you up and opened a lot of doors, but you got into that from, I guess, from a lad, really, so you didn't have many other skills. In hindsight, was that perhaps a hindrance?
Well, luckily enough, no, because I don't think that you can be the greatest academic in the world and not be streetwise. You know, I grew up in London. I left school 2 days before I was 14, and I was good at maths and English, and that was about it. And by the time I was sort of 16, I could speak 4 languages, and never considered myself as dumb or anything. You know, I'd never taken exams or anything like that, and I learned to fly a chopper in 3 weeks, passed all my exams, and they were the only exams I'd ever taken.
And you're still flying a chopper today?
Yeah, oh yeah, not in Australia, in England.
Right.
But yeah, you know, it's a God's gift, isn't it? Everybody has a gift, and I was lucky. Mine was motorbike racing.
Radioactive, the source of the power is radio. I've done all their plumbing since 1962.
Basil Smith, who has his own plumbing business and does all the plumbing for Sydney's best kitchen company, KitchenAid.
Virtually, I work for them about around 70% of my time.
So Basil, over the years, has seen thousands of KitchenAid kitchens.
We're one of the best ones in Sydney, and it's just a matter of, virtually who you like, and I say they get most of their jobs off referrals.
And remember, Basil works behind the scenes. Just imagine how good a new KitchenAid kitchen will look in your home. KitchenAid, their number is on your cassette sleeve.
When you need legal advice, Bruce Dennis is your man. With a legal and accounting degree, Bruce Dennis is in touch and on the ball. His practice specialises in all areas of law. Your first consultation is free, and by now, Bruce Dennis must seem like a friend to you. A will, a divorce, a new house, a problem. Bruce will help you. That's why he's there when you need him. Bruce Dennis, Solicitor. Phone Sydney 252 4888.
In your Drivetime Autumn Pocketbook, you'll notice that Sydney's best value restaurant, the Metro Inn Brasserie, has an incredible 2-for-1 offer. There is such a thing as a free lunch after all. On any weekday, meet at the Met for lunch, featuring a sumptuous buffet with a delectable array that will ensure you won't need dinner that night. 3 courses and tea and coffee for just $14. The really good news is that when you go with a friend, one of you will eat for free. This is exclusive to Drivetime listeners during autumn. Simply present the coupon from the rear of your autumn pocketbook and one person in your group will enjoy a free lunch. Meet at the Met for lunch, 281 0400.
Rolling through side 3 of Sydney's audio magazine this autumn. Time to learn about Streamwatch, an environmental education project of the Water Board, which enables schools and community groups to measure the quality of the water in local catchments. You've probably never given this any thought, have you? Well, according to Renato Ramsey, who coordinates Streamwatch, training and involving people from a young age will make for a better future for us all.
Well, that's a pretty good observation, actually. In a lot of cases, we are really checking up. Well, the checking up is the wrong way, but what we're finding out about is, as you say, whether our system is working effectively. And if it isn't, we want to know, and we want to be able to do something about it more than that. But it's not the Water Board as such. This really is community-driven, and what we encourage is that local groups will, after doing these sophisticated water quality tests for quite some time, they'll start to build up a picture of what's actually happening in their local waterway. And if that changes very much from time to time, they might be asking themselves some questions why. And when we start a water quality group, the first thing that they do is find out who else in their local area is involved in water quality issues. Local government, of course, lots of community groups, progress associations, local water board managers and so on, very often business and industry, and these people will know that there's Streamwatch happening in the area. The significant people will be invited to join in the testing just to see what's going on, and if it's relevant, they can get fax copies of the test results every time there's a test going on, which gives the opportunity then for the local group to decide what is relevant action for them. But the point about our program is that it is action driven. Our approach is that we are using really good science to provide the good sort of information that gives people the authority, if you like, to approach agencies about problems that might be arising without basing it entirely on emotion. But by joining the other stakeholders, if you like, in the water quality game, right from the start, we're working on a program of collaboration rather than confrontation. We're not getting data and saying, look, we found this out about you, what are you going to do about it? It would be much more that we would be working with a local business or industry or agency group, and we would be sharing data all the way along. We'd be seeing the good as well as the bad, and when it's bad, we would discuss what possibilities are available to clean stuff up.
To find out more about Streamwatch and the role that you and or your children can play, phone Renato on 02 269 5393.
Drivetime management expert Daniel Johnson has just released a twin-pack audio cassette series entitled Time for Success. It is most beneficial to people in multi-level marketing and is extremely informative, practical and effective. In Daniel's regular Drivetime segment this season, we're pleased to be able to share with you a segment from this powerful series, Time for Success, which you can obtain by phoning Daniel. His number is on your cassette sleeve.
I'd like you to take a moment to enjoy the music and contemplate this question. What % of your time are you proactive with the use of your time? In other words, how much of your time are you in control and making things happen, rather than reacting to what happens? So, are you proactive most of the time? Do you feel that you're taking control of your life at least 70% of the time, like the leaders in network marketing are doing? You could easily be thinking, in control of their lives 70% of the time? How's that possible? It's possible because the leaders know the only way to have the time to succeed in network marketing is to always be one step ahead of themselves through effective planning and scheduling. In other words, they make the most of their time knowing that they've got an idea of what they'll be doing later today, what they'll be doing tomorrow, next week, next month, and even next year. They're not leaving their lives to chance. They make the choice to take control. So, in a nutshell, here's the definition of the proactive mindset. It's a way of life that revolves around actively planning ahead and scheduling your use of time. The proactive achievers, those folks are so easy to recognize because although they're fun-loving and really easy to get along with, what you discover is that they make appointments, they keep them. They're the people who value their time and yours. They're the sort of people who don't want to waste time. The reason is they look ahead. They have a clear overview of what's to come in their life. One glance at their diary or their yearly planner and they feel in control. With this sort of an overview, the proactive achievers are able to see on paper exactly how busy they are. I'm sure that you can see how making appointments and planning well in advance provides the proactive achievers with a feeling of knowing what's to come, a sense of, as we talked about before, seeing the big picture. When you are proactive with the use of your time, the benefits, you'll be excited to know, they flow to you immediately. The first is having more control. The second is developing an even more concrete sense of an overview. The third is achieving more, in particular, of their important items in life. And the final point is they discover more self-discipline than they've ever had before through the benefits of the proactive mindset. The best way to start building the proactive mindset is to realize that because you value your time and you wish to have a balance between your priorities in life, you will have the ability to take control of your time and your life. You know, in some of the outdated time management courses, there's a quote-unquote law that's taught. People are taught that work expands to fill the time available. Well, I want you to know, the high achievers, the leaders in network marketing, do not believe that law. They've proven it simply isn't true. They know there's a mind shift that makes the difference. And here's how it works. The leaders, they don't want to be constantly busy and active and their time filled up. So here's what they replace that outdated law with. They say to themselves, quote, I fit the activity into the time allocated, unquote. Now, this is an extremely important point. It's a positive affirmation that I'd like to repeat again for you right now. I fit the activity into the time allocated. When you are proactive, your life takes on a whole new dimension. This new way of thinking has three fundamental elements. Number one, by saying, quote, I fit, you're making a positive statement of control rather than saying the work expands, because that sounds like the work is in control of you, and that's no good. The next fundamental point, number two, is that this new approach applies to everything in your life, not just work. That's why we use, instead of the word work, we use the important word activity. It's a critical point. And number three fundamental, saying and believing that you allocate time for each activity is so much more powerful than letting the work fill the time available. Those 3 points are the foundation of the proactive mindset. All you need to do is to apply each of these techniques, and that will ensure these things. It'll ensure that you take responsibility for controlling your time, that you manage and control your whole life, and you allocate time and set yourself deadlines. Remember, because you are proactive, you believe and you say this positive affirmation, quote, I fit the activity into the time allocated, unquote.
Blending with the spirit of the tropics, each guest room and suite in the Cairns International Hotel is graced with a casual elegance. Cool tiled floors are replete with sumptuous oversized plush rugs. Through your windows or from your spacious balcony, breathtaking views of Trinity Inlet, the harbour or the Great Dividing Range toward the Atherton Tablelands. Room styles to match your requirements. 5-star all the way. The perfect base in this tropical place, the Cairns International Hotel. 070 311 300.
Telecom MobileNet is committed to the 018 service. It will work in tandem with the newly introduced digital service until at least the year 2000. To use the digital service, you'll need a new phone. Currently, they're retailing for around $2,000. The benefits to you using MobileNet's digital service are enormous. No one can eavesdrop. There's no crosstalk. You have longer talk time and consistent, clear communication reception. You have a longer battery life, and there is an inbuilt message service just like a pager. So find out more. Call Telecom MobileNet Digital today. 018 018 019.
Oh, Helen, can you pass a quick fresh to me too?
Good idea. I wasn't going to say anything, but did you have garlic last night?
Well, we did go out for dinner, but...
Well, next time you do, keep a pack of these handy, eh?
Huh.
You're not that bad, but Quick Fresh definitely makes your mouth feel fresher. Look, breathe on me. And your breath fresher.
Thanks, Helen. Here's your quick fresh pack back.
Oh, I think you should keep it, Steve. I think today your need is a little greater than mine.
Radioactive, the source of the power is radioactive. Radioactive.
Easter. What does it mean to you?
Hi, I'm David. I'm 10 years old.
Do you go to church at Easter time, David?
Oh, yeah, normally.
Do you go to church all the time or just at Easter?
Yeah, I go to church all the time.
So what's the significance? What's special about Easter and church? What's the connection?
Oh, Jesus rising from the dead and things like that.
Friday. Jesus had been crucified, and as it was the eve of Passover, the Jews were anxious to take down the bodies before the Sabbath began. It was the custom to break the legs of the crucified before taking them from the cross. The soldiers broke the legs of the two thieves hanging next to Jesus, but they left Jesus alone because he was already dead. One of the soldiers, however, speared Jesus in the side with his lance. Towards evening, a disciple of Jesus, Joseph of Arimathea, approached the governor, Pilate, and asked if he could take the body of Jesus. Pilate agreed, and Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen sheet, and laid it in his own unused tomb. The tomb had been cut into a rock face, and after laying the body to rest, he rolled a large stone across the entrance. The next morning, the priests went to Pilate and reminded him that Jesus had said that after 3 days he would rise from the dead. They claimed that the disciples could steal the body and make it appear that Jesus had risen, which would undermine their authority. pilot agreed to let them have a guard, and they sealed the stone to make the grave more secure.
I think Easter is about joy, and I think it symbolises peace.
Okay, this is the Drive Time Challenge. I begin by giving you the category, then the question, followed by a period of time, usually about 6 seconds, and then a tone will sound, and you'll have about 2 seconds to come up with the answer before I give it to you. And when you hear that sound, get ready, because I'm going to hit you with some rapid-fire questions called zappers, and you'll have between 1 and 3 seconds to answer. Okay, let's play. Between what two cities did the legendary Orient Express run? Between Paris and Istanbul. Okay, myths and legends. Mythology's swiftest messenger bears the same name as the smallest known planet. Name the planet. Mercury, the closest planet to the Sun. Now we're into sports. What jockey teamed up with Bart Cummings to win Melbourne Cups on light fingers and red-handed? The answer, Roy Higgins. Okay, let's try another geography question. I'll give you 4 of the 7 continents. You give me the remaining 3. Africa, Asia, North America and South America. The remaining 3 continents, Antarctica, Australia and Europe. Language. Tips, tips, tips. We've all left tips in restaurants. Have you ever wondered where the word came from? What is the origin of tips? It's made up of the first letters of the phrase, to ensure prompt service. Now, on to general knowledge. What did the jolly swag man put in his tucker bag? That's right, a jumbuck. Ride with us now back to those wonderful days of yesteryear, to the days of the Lone Ranger and Tonto. What's the name of this classic piece of music I'm getting carried away on, and who wrote it? The William Tell Overture by Rossini. Now the next category is space. In space we're told there are many. In Calcutta there's one famous one. They're all rather dark and mysterious, but what are they called? Black holes. Here's a history question for you. What product was shipped from New Zealand to England for the first time on the Dunedin in 1882? Frozen meat. Now, television. What was the occupation of Josh Randall on the television series Wanted Dead or Alive? A bounty hunter, remember? He was played by Steve McQueen. Now, famous people. What singer came into the world as Colin Jacobson?
If you wanna be happy, come along with me. Oh yeah, uh-huh.
Oh yeah, Cold Joy. Now, are you ready to get zapped? Okay, remember, you've only got a few seconds to answer these ones. How many biscuits in a baker's dozen? 13. Who created James Bond? Ian Fleming. What product does Tony the Tiger push? Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes, Sugar Frosties. What word begins with the letter K and is both a type of bird, a fruit and boot polish? That's right, a kiwi. What's the capital of Cambodia? Phnom Penh. Which weighs more, a pound of lead or a pound of feathers? You know, both actually weigh the same. What's a turkey in bowling? A turkey in bowling is 3 strikes in a row. I think you've done very well, so it's time to fast forward and turn over.